In the latter part of the third quarter in their Week 4 match against the Dallas Cowboys, the New England Patriots decided to make a change at quarterback. Mac Jones had a particularly challenging game, contributing significantly to the team's 31-3 deficit. Up until his benching, Mac completed 12 of 21 for 150 yards, but he also threw a pair of interceptions and failed to secure any touchdowns. At the time of the switch, the Cowboys were leading the Patriots with a score of 31-3, and a significant portion of Dallas's points stemmed from turnovers caused by Jones. There was a return fumble for a touchdown. A couple drives later, Jones threw an interception that was taken back 54 yards for another touchdown. Deron Bland's pick six pushed the Patriots into a 28-3 hole. Mac narrowly escaped a third interception when Dallas's Jaron Kearse dropped the pass that was thrown right into his hands. Later in the half, Jones threw another interception to Bland, ending the team's opening drive. The Cowboys were able to capitalize on these turnovers. Even after his third turnover of the day, Jones remained in the game. However, the offense was unable to make progress, resulting in a quick 3-and-out, and it was at this juncture that Bailey Zappi took the field. Zappi, a fourth-round pick from 2022, initially served as the team's third-string quarterback during his rookie season. However, due to injuries to both Mack and Hoyer, Zappi found himself in significant action for 4 games, starting twice. Despite this, he didn't secure a spot on New England's initial 53-man roster this year. Thankfully, the second-year quarterback cleared waivers, allowing the team to bring him back. Bailey Zappi's appearance against the Cowboys marked his first game action since October 24th of the previous year, coinciding with Jones's return from injury facing against the Chicago Bears. In that game, the Patriots also benched Jones after a lackluster start. However, they ultimately stuck with Jones for the remainder of the season, despite a blowout loss to the Bears with Zappi at the helm. It is safe to say that the Patriots have a major QB problem right now, which was a second-tier roster concern for me thus far this season. But Jones's performance against Dallas was nothing short of disastrous, and watching the tape only magnifies my frustration with Mac's mechanics and now his terrible decision-making. The once highly touted first-round draft pick began the game with a promising drive that led to a field goal. Things looked okay minus a bad toss to Gesicki in the back of the end zone. However, things quickly took an abrupt turn for the worse, and his play was out of control. With his latest performance, Jones' stats for the season stand at 5 touchdowns against 4 interceptions. Mac went from statistically a top 10 to 15 QB in the league to looking like a bottom 5 QB on tape, and now probably a bottom 10 in stats. I have been saying Mac has been playing smart. He has been making throws where he can. He was playing within his physical limitations, but man, this is what happens when you've got a QB who's had a major regression in his throwing mechanics and is starting to make throws like Brett Favre with less than half the arm strength. So, the Patriots have a big issue here. Right now, Mac has to essentially 180 that performance over the next several weeks to regain the fans' confidence and start racking up some wins. Yes, plenty of great QBs have had games like this throughout their career. The best, obviously, are able to learn, refocus, and move on. Can Mac do that? I don't know. He has been able to reset before, but my biggest fear right now is, what happens when he doesn't reset? What happens if he doesn't move forward? And I'm talking about his ability to really move forward, not come back to where he was prior to the Dallas game. Mac needs to reset and get to the next level like in 2 weeks, without any additional help on his side of the ball. If he can't make that reset and move forward, we really have to start thinking about what the answer is at the position. I'm going to say Zappi and Greer are probably not the answer. I love Malik as a special package option that should have been available on Sunday to stop that bleeding, but I won't get into that today. The Patriots will have big issues here if Mac doesn't make the moves he needs to. This is a dilemma. If you've been following this channel, you would know we are big on the draft and building the team from development at structure positions. What are structure positions? They would be considered core or foundation positions, but they're also the origins of the blueprint for the team. They are the identity. They are the major cogwheels of the machine. Changing them out for another cogwheel might not allow the rest of the machine that has been custom built to work. Maybe you find something similar, but anything that is noticeably different will most likely require downstream cogwheels and components to be altered, because the end function probably won't work. It will be in dysfunction. Typically, it is incredibly helpful for the engineer, in this case the GM, to have the raw materials and the equipment needed to create an ideal cogwheel, and the components to make a competitive machine that works in their environment to perform the best job within the economical confines and time frame. If they can't, they have to basically start all over, or hopefully find a cogwheel that doesn't require the rest of the machine to be thrown in the trash. The problem is finding the perfect cogwheel sitting on the scrap heap. Probably not going to happen. You see what I'm getting at? The QB is a structural position. Not only are they a cornerstone piece of the offense that determines the performance of that unit, but they are also the piece of the they are the piece the rest of the offense is designed around. You can't build the rest of the offense first and then find a QB that fits just randomly floating in free agency. Again, you might have to find someone that makes the machine move, but it would be lucky if you really find someone who can be a perfect fit. This is why you see teams continue to return to the draft. Find the piece that is made of the right raw materials that can be machined to fit what you need, and tune the rest of the components to develop a fine-tuned machine that works within the economical confines, and the project can be completed within the allotted time frame. For the Patriots, the machine is still missing some parts to work correctly, but the major cogwheel, in this case Mac Jones, might have a few damaged teeth that might not be able to be retooled. Maybe we have to consider taking a serious look at the draft this year. So, I think most of you are aware of USC's QB, Caleb Williams. Yes, this guy looks to be a generational talent that is worthy of tanking for. But it's going to be a race for it. The Bears right now look to be winning that race. Plus, there's Denver, there's the Vikings, there's the Jets. There's plenty of other teams in that race right now that are in stronger need of a QB. Now, beyond Caleb, I would also point out UNC's Drake May. He's getting a decent amount of attention, but probably not enough for how good he is. He will most likely be a top 5 pick. Then after that, you get a few other solid QBs that should have a first round grade. There's Oregon's Bo Nix, Washington's Michael Penix Jr., and maybe Duke's Riley Leonard. These guys are, for the most part, are worthy of a first round pick. Then we have J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, and I'm taking Colorado's Shedeur Sanders. He's probably a second or third rounder in my view. Michael Pratt from Tulane. There's Quinn Ewers from Texas, and one of my favorites, Cameron Ward from Washington State. These guys are looking like a second or maybe a third rounder, depending on how the draft goes. After that, there is a swath of guys like Jaden Daniels from LSU, Spencer Rattler from South Carolina. There's Jordan Travis from Florida State, KJ Jefferson, who's floating under the radar from Arkansas, Joe Milton III from Tennessee, he's got a cannon of an arm, and Sam Hartman from Notre Dame. For me, I'm big fans of possibly taking Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr., or maybe even Riley Leonard in the second round for the Patriots if they're still available. Then, possibly McCarthy, Sanders, Pratt, Ewers, or Cam Ward in the third, possibly even the fourth, again, depending on how the draft is going. I also like taking a shot at Joe Milton in the fourth with his arm talent. But man, after the Dallas game, the Patriots might have to consider a QB in the first round. Seriously. Caleb's going to require a 0 to 1 game win season to get that, or trading away lots of draft capital. I am not sure how many first round picks it would take to possibly get Caleb. You're going to need an absolute tankathon and selling everything off to run the season into the ground. Now, Drake May might be an option with only a few wins, but again, you might actually have to trade up to get him in order to get the second or third pick in the draft. After that, who knows where Nix, Penix, or Leonard will go? I think Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. could be in the top half of the first round if a team really needs a QB, which might be the Patriots. Yeah, I got first round grades for those guys, but man, we would be passing on some really great talent at wide receiver and offensive tackle, both positions of need. And there's some other guys in the draft that will be needle movers in their rookie season. I think the Patriots could have a viable starting level QB in the draft, possibly in the second round. So, the Patriots might have some options in the upcoming draft, regardless of how the season plays out. You might not have to do a tankathon just to get somebody decent enough to take over Mac's job next year. Now, let's try some mock drafts to see what I'm talking about. All right, so it's been a while since I've done a mock draft. It does look like they've updated this recently. They have the Patriots in 7, which if we look at, yeah, that looks probably right at the moment. The Cardinals are ahead of us. Impressive. Where should the Patriots be? Yeah, probably around that Browns-Texans area right now. I was hoping they'd be up probably where the Steelers are right now. It's looking ugly. Strength of schedule is not helping out the Patriots the rest of the way. Some of these other teams have relatively easy schedules, especially actually these guys. So, interesting note that the top-rated teams arguably have easiest schedules in the league. More on that later. But, ooh, they've added a 4th round. Here we go. So, good job, PFF. All right, so the Bears do look like they're probably going to win the race for Mr. Caleb Williams. I believe they would have the first 2. Panthers probably not going to want a QB, but you never know. Raiders would probably take a QB. I would assume if they would take probably a QB if Drake May's still around. So will the Vikings, so will the Jets, and so will the Patriots. So before we even get into enter the draft, probably obviously not the Bengals, but you're looking at every team here minus probably the Panthers. Giants probably wouldn't. I mean, obviously they're not going to probably tank out like the rest of them will, but even if they got like a top 5 pick, I don't think they would take a... I don't know if they would make a move for Drake May or Caleb. I don't think the Packers would. The Saints probably would. Texans probably wouldn't. The Browns probably should, but won't. Won't. Would. Probably would. Definitely would. Arguably actually might do that. Even the Steelers. Titans definitely would. They would. Would. Definitely would. Yeah, you're looking, and they would too. I'm just saying they're not going to get there, but you're looking at maybe 5-6 teams, and obviously like the Panthers and the Texans wouldn't because they just drafted, but you're only looking at maybe 6-7 teams that wouldn't. I mean, the Cowboys would probably even take a shot if they had to. So the issue here is even these teams might consider taking some of the other guys like Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. in the first round. Riley Leonard might be a first-round pick for some of these guys. Doubtful because of how good the other talent that's in this draft. If you've been following, I will tell you that this year's wide receiver class is good at the top and also extremely deep. You find guys who probably are worthy of like third-round grades still around in the 4th. I'm assuming this year, depending on if they... Obviously, we don't know who's going to be actually entering the draft. But for draft-eligible guys who probably will come out, you're gonna get guys graded, getting draft... Their grade drafts probably going in those rounds. grades for the draft. So anyway, let's get into it. I don't want to spend too much time talking. I just want you to see what I'm talking about. All right, there we are. So we're 7th right now, and that was there. These are definitely still, to me, a more egregious situation, because I've seen what Mac is capable of doing when he doesn't get in his head and have a huge problem and just snowball and then loses control and the wheels come off. The problem is even when the wide receivers and the offensive line are actually playing well, these are still major issues. So we get into this problem of, hey, we are picking at 7. Who are we looking at, right? Because are we going to really pass up one of the top tackles or wide receivers for a guy who's under Caleb Williams or Drake May? For example, Joe Alt's probably my top pick for us right now, and arguably, even if we have a shot at some of these other guys, still, he's probably the best. I mean, Olu Fashanu is good as a tackle, but in terms of being well-rounded and best taped thus far this season, Joe Alt is probably there. He's probably the most refined and still has a good ceiling ahead of him. After that, Malik Neighbors, yes. I'd put Malik Neighbors, and then for us, I'm a big fan of Keon Coleman, Rome Odunze. They've actually done some great job ranking these out. Odunze, and then Ibuka. Now, the other thing that we have to consider is another tackle, but besides that, I also like Graham Barton. He's looked nothing but amazing this season. His tape is amazing. J.C. Latham is a great right tackle. And then they have Bo Nix starting to creep up at 25. Amarius Mims, is he in there? There he is. And then, Donnie Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. There's Michael Penix. PFF, man, I'm starting to agree with you guys. There's Riley Leonard, Mason Smith. Josh Newton, I have to look at him. Same thing with Lassiter. I haven't watched him too much. He's popped up. He's an interesting guy that I might consider in the 2nd or 3rd round. And they have JJ. So let's go down to just the quarterbacks real quick. So Bo, they have at 25, but I could see Bo being a top 10 pick to the right team that needs it, right? Same thing with Michael Penix. I can see him being a top. Riley Leonard, I'd have to say probably a late 1st round. I don't think he's got the tape really to justify. I mean, I could see him being a 1st round pick, period. But it'd be interesting if you see somebody that's in the 20s or in the 30s that really need. So he'd probably be these guys would probably be a late or early 2nd round pick for guys who, for example, like the Raiders probably, if these guys were around in the beginning of the 2nd round, they'd probably go after them. Same thing with the Viking. Oh, they took Drake May, but yeah, see, these guys would probably, even though they're taking, because apparently if Aaron Rodgers does come back, they probably still want to look for somebody to, be there after he's done. Wow, PFF. So, what do I do? Let's prove a point that we don't have to go all out. Let's go get Joe Alt. And can we pick one of those guys as a QB? So there's Shador and JJ McCarthy. Michael Pratt. He's good. I got to give him that. I don't think he's going to... See, this would be the guy you got to do homework with, and he's going to be kind of that late round or late draft process push to say, yeah, this is the guy we're going to go with. JJ has great tape. He's a good leader, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, decent arm, actually decent athlete too. He can scramble, looks good on the run, looks good off platform. I give him a thumbs up. Now, Shador, obviously, good athlete, good arm. Is he actually even going to come out this year? I mean, who knows? If he's not a 1st round pick, and it doesn't look like he's going to be a 1st round pick, he probably won't do it because he's going to make an astronomical amount of money as a college athlete. So, that being said, I'm going to assume Shador's going to be there. Let's go with that first. Even then, we can still go with JJ. I'll go with Shador just for the sake that he probably, as an athlete, could replace Mac Jones and have the raw materials to make some plays. On the run, physically running the ball, but also off platform. If things are falling apart, he can do something by himself physically. Let's just say Lamar Jackson-esque, right? Obviously not the same speed, but the fact is Lamar Jackson is the guy who extends plays with his legs, athleticism, he's a threat. The problem with the ball, he's a playmaker, right? He's not a facilitator. He actually makes the play. So I'm going to go with Shador, just to prove a point here. It would at least be entertaining, right? So here's the problem. We have that. Now, who do we have for wide receivers? So we got our awesome left tackle. I would have no problem with Trent Brown going over the right again and paying him for it too. We got the quarterback, so we have to go to wide receiver. I agree. This guy's, I saw him against the Colorado game. Before that, I knew of him. He's really improved. Troy Franklin is probably where I'm going to look for. Trey Harris, he's popped up. Jalen McMillan's probably better than advertised right now. Roman Wilson, I really like. I'm surprised he's at 100. Oh, they brought Thrash up. See, they're making moves. He just snapped his ankle. I believe it was dislocated, but he's going to be moving down. If he can get himself recovered, not bad. He's probably good for a good third rounder. He's got a Lisfranc injury, but one of my favorite guys before that. Wow, they got Robert Lewis in here. Nice job, PFF. Starting to show up. He's a good slot option. Another guy we should consider. If there's guys that we can get like in the third, fourth round, it'd be Aron against and Jacob Cowing. I actually like this Purcell guy. He does have a great catch this far this year, but he's also really good. Jamari Thrash is probably going to be going under the radar. Well, maybe not as much as now, but Trey Harris. Is that all they have? Yeah. Trust me, it goes way deeper than this, guys. It's way deep. There's a lot of guys missing here. They don't even have Jerry Rice's son on here yet. But he's good, big tall dude, explosive. He's super quick and fast. I would probably go with Sturdivant, and Torrey Horton probably be in there, and so would Jalen McMillan and Roman Wilson. So we could probably pick one of those guys up now, and then what would that? We have to go with D tackles. Braswell. They found out about Braswell. Shoot. I was hoping we get Braswell in the fourth round, but hey, they have Kieran on here. Nice. If I knew he was on there, I would have. Oh, Michael Hall. Tavondre Sweat, probably one of the best nose tackles in the league or in the college football right now. I was hoping we'd get him with our fourth rounder. Estime, probably one of the best halfbacks. I wouldn't mind getting him later on. Blake Fisher as a right tackle. I wouldn't hate actually drafting that if he's available. DeCorian Clark at 107, that's a win. So should we consider going something else besides? I'm just playing the game here. Gosh, I didn't want to get him in the third. I was thinking we can get him maybe in the fourth. Same thing with Michael Hall. Makuba can play both corner and safety. Super quick. And Tavondre Sweat. Jeez. Even having a shot at Javon Bullard would be nice. He's probably the best center in the draft. He's not even a bad pick for us to get right now. And having a shot at Troy. Huron. All right, so we're not gonna have a let's do. Zach Zinter can play guard and tackle. I think we have to go with J. Michael. Yeah. And Jaheim Bell. Oh, I didn't explain him too much, but he's probably the best H-back tight end. Can block, so he can play a little that H-back, fullback position. Very explosive. Kind of the guy that, we've been looking for. We paid a little bit too much for a few years ago and had to let that guy go. Well, yeah. Jaheim Bell's that answer. I agree. That's probably an A- draft. So this one would be, hey, we don't need to necessarily have to nuke everything just to get a decent quarterback. Now, it doesn't have to be Shedeur Sanders. I think you can get the J.J. McCarthy, who might not be, a huge needle mover. But we didn't get the Bo Nix. We didn't get the Michael Penix Jr. We didn't get the Riley Leonard. So let's do another mock draft here. I'm going to download that one and save it. Gosh, I would take him too. All these guys, like everything. I don't know about Cameron Kitchens, but from Jerzon or Jerry Newton. Yeah, I would go every single one of these guys here. It would be an instant needle movers all the way down. I don't know too much about Josh Newton, but needle mover, all these guys, Kamari Lassiter, I'm not sure. Barrett Carter's probably who I'd start to be a little bit not sure about, but yeah, so you got all the way down to like the mid 30s probably. And these guys, you're drafting them, you're improving your team, and you're probably having a guy who can make an impact day one on your team. And like Cooper DeJean is a good safety as well as a corner. I would say he's probably better safety right now. Kalen King is a corner that can play both perimeter and slot. So if we don't get a quarterback and you see like Laiatu Latu or Joe All, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Malik Neighbors, I mean, some of these, let's say you guys would probably be okay with obviously a tackle or a wide receiver, but for some reason, and everybody's screaming, why are we drafting Laiatu Latu or Kool-Aid McKinstry, Kalen King, Cooper DeJean, Jalen Verse, Jazon Newton, all these guys, Dallas Turner, all these names that you're probably why are we going defense again? These guys on defense are, so far in my book, have got the Gonzo and Keon White effect. Like, you put them out there, things are going to happen. But same thing with the offensive guys. Same thing with the wide receivers and tackles, too. That's how good this draft is compared to the last one. Last one, you got guys that maybe had seven guys in the last draft that would be competitive in the first round. And some of them might even be, like, second, third rounders. So that's why it's a good and bad thing. There's plenty of quarterbacks that are in this draft that will allow us to get a decent talent in the second and possibly even third round. That's somebody that if you actually get them and you put them in the system and you're developing them and right system, right fit, they could be competitive enough to press Mac next year, right? Or just straight out take it. But we didn't have to pass on getting a Joe Alt or a Malik Neighbors or a Cooper DeJean or Laiatu Latu. All right, in this case, I'm going to try to do a trade back. Three picks is not going to be... I got to go back a little further. I'm going to go with 18, even though let's just ask a lot for this. So we're gonna do the crazy thing, which is we're gonna take Bo Nix just in first pick. At 50, could we still get a tackle? Probably not. I guarantee you that Patrick Paul or Jordan Morgan's gonna go, because you're gonna have teams that don't need quarterbacks. Jordan Morgan, so we're going to take Patrick Paul. Still got Wells to take. I'm not ultra... I mean, he's had a good year. I'm going to pass on him, though. Oh, they put Polk in there, huh? Tyler for right tackle. Kingsley actually, I'm going with PFF, but I should have probably. I would pick Kingsley over actually. He might be in my opinion. Kingsley looks like a first rounder. So it's hard to say that though. Like you got Kalen Bullock here. I'm really thinking about taking Kalen Bullock. You might hate me, but. Do I take the more Micah Parsons guy, or do I take the big? Yeah. There's other D tackles that we can take later on in the draft. That's probably gonna fit that mold a little bit better. Makuba would be really nice to have. It's corner right now. Because he can play a little free safety as well. But man, is that the interior defensive line that we have going right now is just not doing it. Dante Corleone would be a really good one to pick up. That pass rush is just I'm gonna go with Michael Hall. We need somebody who's going to be a little more explosive these days. Guy can move in and out. And we'll take Jaheim Bell again. Not sure if we would get all that draft capital for the trade, but, I'm just playing the game right now. I think Patrick Paul might be a good right tackle. Kingsley could be a right tackle as well, but him in the left is great. Kalen Bullock I like him on his tape so far. I know we've drafted him twice in a row, but him at 82, I think he's fringe first rounder. So big, fast, good hands. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4", 220. Physical just the measurables are all positive, and his tape is nice. I don't know why he should be a top 50 pick in my opinion, and Jaheim Bell is easily a top 50 in my opinion. So again, it's just showing you how deep this tight end class, or the class is in general, the whole draft is in general. All right, one more mock draft, and what's the option here that we haven't done, which is trading up. Let's just show you if we wanted to. I mean, see what I'm talking about? It's obvious. PFF has this, likely, and we're still not getting a trade. Who's the Vedas? Oh, whoops, sorry. See, like, for us to get Drake May, it's just gonna be too expensive. I don't think this is crazy. Maybe you. I mean, I don't think so. But let's just. Okay. By the way, Jordan Morgan's one of the. Technically, his tape. I mean, he's not huge, but his tape shows promise. No, I didn't save the other one. I should have saved the other one. PFF not having some trouble today grading. All right. Now, what did we lose? Well, we're going all in on Drake May, so Mac's gone. You get a first for a first, and then you lose next year's first, or 2025. So, what can we say about this? I wouldn't hate this. I wouldn't hate it. We'd lose that first rounder. It's just losing next year's first round draft pick. You'd have to know Drake May's the dude. Because I think it's possible that you can do this and still get a tackle, a wide receiver, and a tight end. Now, if we go back and talk about it, is the drop between Drake May and, say, like a Bo Nix worth the 2025 pick, plus the possibility of trading back and getting more capital to pick up more dudes in this draft that could be in the 40s, right? Maybe pick up like a second rounder that'll be in the 40s that still can move the needle. I mean, that's all offense there. And we do have a good defense right now, but they're injured. I still think we have an issue with defensive line. I think there's some issues there. Linebackers are still an issue. Corners, you can't have enough. And I think that's obvious now, but I mean, almost all our corners are injured. I think the big takeaway is, hey, it's not all doom and gloom right now for this season. and next season. And I don't think you have to go to the hyperbole that you have to tank for Caleb Williams. Drake May you might be able to trade in with them to get that. I doubt I think the Raiders are probably going to want him. I think the way it's going now, and again, I think anybody who's in that position is going to want to have a shot at Drake May. You only have, you'd have to have some of these guys up here that have okay quarterbacks that they just drafted really start to insert themselves here. So you'd have to have, like, the Packers would have to fall apart. The Jags would have to fall apart. The Bengals would have to continue to fall apart. Obviously, the Texans and the Panthers would have to continue. Oh, they don't have actually, never mind. The Panthers are not going to help you out. Yeah. You'd have to have some teams really fall apart that have good quarterbacks or just drafted guys that they're trying to develop to really fall down a lot to get there. Because most of the teams that are in your area or are below you right now or projected to finish below you are probably going to take a shot at Drake May, and they're going to value it, and they know you want that. You're trading up for that reason, right? There's only maybe one or two guys above us that you trade up for that you want, which would be one of the two tackles, Olu Fashanu and Joe Alt, and then probably Brock Bowers, who's the tight end, and then most of the other people, you would take, but at the 7 position all the way down to like maybe the 20th position, you're going to have a shot at picking a needle mover, which is really ultimately what the first round's about, right? You're just hoping the needle mover is also a position of need. But trading to a second or third, or picking a second or third round level talent because you've got need, I think has been proven both by the Patriots and plenty of other teams not the move, right? You pick the person who's worthy of a first round grade because you're dealing not only with having a needle mover on your squad immediately, right? Because that's what you need to get. The first rounder can't be a miss, right? We can't have issues with first rounders not panning out. Not only because you need to have impact players from your rookie class, that's how things work in the NFL now, but also the financial side of it, right? The rookie getting those first rounders on rookie contracts. You don't want a guy that doesn't deserve a first round draft pick on a first being in the first round pick when you would rather be spending on guys in positions where you want to have that fit, the options fit your options, and you have them for that much longer, paying them significantly less than they're actually worth. That's how these teams do it. They draft very well. Could we do drafting a first round tackle and then drafting a even could we do Barrett Carter might be worth a first round grade, yeah. Aruka Horo is really good. He's very Keon White. But I think he's more of a tackle that can play outside, whereas Keon's more of a D-end that can play inside. So I wouldn't mind having him. He'd be a problem. Trey Benson might be an option, but the way the free agency is for halfbacks coming up this season, you're probably going to be able to get some really good halfbacks that are coming out in this draft in like the 3rd or 4th round. He's hurt, so let's go with Barrett Carter. That would be a needle mover for me. That's kind of how I'm hoping it goes to a certain extent. You get your tackle. The wide receiver class is deep enough to get one in the second or third. And then either with the second or third round pick, you pick up a decent defensive player that still is in need. Like, we are going to need a linebackers. We're going to need D tackles. We're going to need additional corners, safeties. It's just reality of the situation. And Cam Ward, I think, is better than... I mean, you have him ranked as 152. You can tell me he's probably around 100, if not better. And I think he's workable, too. See, this would be the route of, hey, we're keeping Mac. Mac looks decent for the rest of the season. We're just trying to help him out, give him something. And hopefully Cam Ward shows you something in preseason enough to be a battle. And if Mac's not going, we give him Cam. And Cam has at least some guys to work with. Hopefully, Booty and Demario Douglas are making another step. The tight end situation would be rough. I guess if you wanted to say what happens if Mac does turn around and this was just a bad game, which you're still, in my case, you're probably still targeting Cam Ward maybe in the 4th round. But, I mean, at this point, I would still go here. I know this is kind of getting, redundant, but... to the 50 there? 68, not enough. Not taking any halfbacks. Even though I think we need one, it's just the way it is this coming season. We're not going to need to make a big move there. It's just too many really good candidates that are coming up in free agency that will be there, and it's not going to pressure these guys to make big moves in the draft for them. Like Will Shipley, I'd really like. Is there any other halfbacks floating around? No, but I'd like to take the Corey Clark. This Mohamed Kamara is actually really good. I wouldn't mind taking him. Max Melton finally coming out at the age of 32. Gene Bell, still need to take him. James Williams is another guy I'd really like to possibly have as safety. It's one of those hybrid players. He's like 6'5", big dude. Tight end killer. We have options. This would be nuts. Can't do that much. 5 spots. I'd need that. I mean, maybe we swap up our 7th. Yeah, I was going to say that might be too much. Actually, 143 wouldn't be that bad for me. No, they're not going to take that. Yeah. Still got Joe Wald. Bo Nix. We can get Leggett here. Obviously, this is not how everything's going to go, but it's just showing you that you have options here. We're not done. Byron Murphy's pretty good too. Jack Sawyer's very interesting. To look at him a little bit more. Bucky Irving's very quick. I don't know if I want him in the 3rd though. They really think he's going to go in the third? I like him, Torrey Horton. They're finally starting to fill this in. Like, getting Troy Franklin at 87. It's insane. Michael Hall, these guys, very good. Good. I have to look at him. I don't know him. We got some things going on here. Did they get the guy from Kentucky on here yet for the tackles? I forget his name off the top of my head. Yeah, Marquise Cox, they do. Probably put Jack Nelson in. Nice work. He's really good. And the other guy from he's the other tackle for Yale is really good. Blake Fisher's in there. Good. So we can probably pick up another one in the fourth. So maybe taking like Jack Sawyer might be one of the better moves. I think I like Chris Braswell a little bit more as an athlete, so I'm gonna go with him. I don't want to get him in the third though. I wish we can get him in the fourth. Oh, it's like I hate when people start realizing some of the guys you really like are really good. Like Braswell and Kingsley Suamataia are definitely gonna probably second, third rounders. First, maybe Suamataia might even be at first. But that would be something we need, right? Braswell, yeah, that's a little bit of a reach right there, but things are possible. So, end of the story is it's not all doom and gloom, guys. We have options. I don't think we need to tank. And if you do, you get up there and you want to take a shot, it's going to cost us to get somebody. But even if we do it, like, right, if we want to trade up to get maybe Drake May and it's going to cost us a couple firsts and getting rid of Mac, and we want to go and, hey, the scouting and the guys feel really good about him and we do it, even though we're getting rid of our first and next year's first, this draft class, your second, is as good as a first in many ways in terms of the talent right now. So you could still, it's not all like you got rid of it and the whole draft is that first round draft pick getting Drake May or somebody else and it's all over with, right? But then also there's this possibility of, hey, you can pick up a Joe Alt, who is what I'd love to be there for our first round pick, or Olu Fushanu, or maybe one of the wide receivers. Like, I'm good with Abuka, Malik Neighbors. I'm really big on Rome Odunze. It seems like he's finally starting to move up the draft board. I have no problem taking those guys. J.C. Latham as a right tackle. I'm taking him even at 12, or even maybe not in the top 10, but take those guys. And you could still pick up like a Bo Nix. Like I said, I don't think Shador's going to come out if he's not, unless he's like being rated as like a number one pick or something like that. Who else? Michael Penix Jr. If you can get him in the second round at like the 30s or 40s, even Riley Leonard, there is somebody who could be a first round, your starting QB maybe next season or the season after that. But you still got your tackle and your wide receiver, and then hopefully another, maybe a tight end or defensive end player, defensive tackle or an edge player, corner, safety. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm expected to be at the Saints game this coming weekend. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know if I'm going to see Mac fall apart and it's just going to be zappy and we're going to tank. If it's going to be a monster disaster. Hopefully we pull up our boy Malik Cunningham and put him in for some. It'll be interesting. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, as always, please like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.